In this video, I'm going to compare the new Siri Remote 2021 to the previous Apple TV Siri Remote. What are the pros and cons, and how much better is the new Apple TV with this remote? Let's go ahead and take a look. So the new selling point of the Apple TV, the updated version, the Apple TV 4K, nothing has really changed physically. The box looks exactly the same. The only upgrade is that it has the A12 processor, so it's just a faster, more powerful Apple TV 4K. But physically, nothing's really changed. You also get color calibration. I don't really care about that. And for most people, all the attention and the real change of the Apple TV 4K, the new one, is the remote, the Siri remote. It's totally changed. That's pretty much what Apple introduced. It didn't really introduce a new Apple TV. It introduced a new remote. So Apple admitted that the previous remote was a piece of crap, that it was garbage, and that's the only thing that they really changed on the Apple TV 4K, the new one. So yeah, I didn't really personally like the old remote. I had that glass section on the top. It was a dark remote. It was very slippery. It was very tiny. You could easily lose it. You didn't know if it was right side up, upside down. I couldn't really, it wasn't tactile. You couldn't feel any of the buttons without really looking at them, except for like the volume buttons. You couldn't turn it on and off. It was just a hot mess. I ended up using mostly my iPhone software remote, the app for that instead, from Control Center. It was not an intuitive remote. Other devices, competing devices, streaming sticks and stuff like the Roku or the Chromecast with Google TV with that remote, Amazon Fire, they all have similar remotes that has a very tactile feeling. It has buttons that you can click. The Apple TV remote, the previous one, didn't have that tactile feeling. You had to like train yourself to use it. The other remotes on the other competing devices, you didn't have to look at the remote to figure them out. They're very intuitive remotes. Like on old school TVs, and when I was brought up as a kid, the remote's supposed to be intuitive. You're not supposed to look at it. You're supposed to look at the screen and figure it out from there. It's not a learning curve. It's very easy. But the Apple remote had to be improved because it really sucked. So let's go ahead and let's see what the differences are and what has been improved on the new remote. So first of all, there's going to be a power button. That's essential. I couldn't really ever remember how to actually turn off the Apple TV with the old remote. It's nice to have just a regular power button. I want to turn on and off the TV and turn on and off my Apple TV. So that's good. The next thing is it's a universal remote, so you can control your TV and inputs. So this will replace pretty much your TV remote. You don't have to have a million remotes all over the place. So if you use the Apple TV exclusively, this will be your only remote that you really need to use. It's very nice not to have to use two different remotes. A nice physical change is just the color. It's just brighter. You can locate it right away. The older remote is just dark and black. The only bright thing about it was the back, but it's just nice to have something that you could spot across the room. Probably the biggest improvement on the remote is having physical tactile directional pad. So you can actually click on them to get a physical feel. If you just want to go up and down really easily a couple of times, boom, up, down, left, right. The older Apple TV remote, it varied wildly. You know, swiping, you had to click if it was fast, slow. You could easily, if you wanted to scroll through a timeline on the movie, you want to scrub, you would go either too far or too slow. It just wouldn't work out. It is just too much. You would just always mess up. I would always have to like start over and go back. It was a huge mess. So that's probably the biggest change on this remote, and it resembles the competing devices like the Google Chromecast, the Amazon Fire, and the Roku. This is what it takes specifically from those devices. That's like the biggest change in this remote. Another tactile thing is moving the Siri button to the actual side. So that way you could definitely don't have to look at the remote to use the Siri button. This is right on the side. You can't lose yourself. You could be watching the TV and you just hold it up to your, to your mouth and just say, hey, Siri, whatever. So, you know, that's like the one button that could be used on the side, just like an iPhone. You don't have to think about it. You just click the side. Going back to the tactile directional pad button, it also has a iPod-like scroll wheel. So you could do that fast scrubbing and going through lists real quick. So it has that as well. So they changed the menu button to the back button. Very easy fix. I never understood what the menu button, you know, if someone never saw an Apple remote, they just saw like menu button. What do you think is that? What does that mean? What is a menu? It's basically just a back button. I don't know why they didn't do that in the first place. They turned the weird menu button into just a regular back button. Another very easy but important change is that they added a mute button. One of the most simple buttons have existed for a long time with electronics, and it's the quick way to turn on and off the volume. You always needed that, be it in a car, in an entertainment center, on your headphones, on your, you know, iPhones have it on, you know, as the silent button. It's just a very simple way of turning on and off the volume quickly. So that's a very new welcome addition. One cool thing that Apple did is make this remote backwards compatible. So this could be used with older Apple TVs, like the older 4K or the older HD versions. So if you don't necessarily have to buy a whole new Apple TV just to get this remote. So those are all kind of the newer, nice features of the remote. Let's go into the cons and why this remote kind of either sucks or still sucks. So in general, the price is going to be the big killer here, because to get this remote, the new remote, you either have to buy a whole new system for $150 or $180, which includes the remote and the Apple TV, or you get this remote separately for $60. Now, I would rather lean towards getting the $60 and just, you know, using it with your older Apple TV if you have one. But that's a problem right there. $60 for a freaking remote. That is terrible. The reason is because competing devices, I already named them, Google, Amazon, Roku, they all cost. You can get those for the remote and the streaming stick is sell for cheaper than $60. Now that's a problem right there. If the whole system together still costs over $150, which is terrible. The Apple TV is cool, but for watching, most people are just gonna watch, you know, TV on this. They're not gonna be playing games. They're not gonna be viewing photos all day. They're not gonna be mirroring the devices all day. I mean, there's some certain things that Apple TV could do that no other devices could do, but for 99% of people, they're going to do the basics, like listen to music, watch TV, watch movies, and things like that. The price is just out of hand. It still sucks, and that's a part on Apple admitting that the Apple TV is a failure. It's a sign that the old remote sucked. This is the only thing that was wrong with the Apple TV was, you know, that the remote needed to be changed. So there's no real improvement on the from the old Apple TV to the new one. I mean, you could still get a Roku devices that offer Apple TV type features such as AirPlay and mirroring. So Apple TV is very expensive, and you can get competing devices that offer some of the same features as the Apple TV, especially now that Apple TV Plus, the service, could be found on other devices. So Apple really doesn't offer anything different or new or intuitive with the Apple TV. And just by bringing out a new remote is not really a sign that this is the system to get. And the last bad thing about this remote is that it does not have a Find My feature. It doesn't have a lost mode, which is stupid, because one of the main complaints of a remote is like, where's the remote? You know where the remote is? How many times have you asked that? It's a simple thing. AirPods have it, Apple Watch, every iOS device has it, Macs have it. You know, where is the device? And even the AirTag that was announced alongside this, you might just have to stick it onto the Apple remote itself instead of it being built in. And for $60, why doesn't this feature exist in this remote for $60? Right, the AirTag costs $30. and it has a speaker where you could search for it. So this remote didn't make a lot of sense. It's not worth the price for what you're getting. I mean, it's an improvement from the previous model, but as a whole, as a product by itself, this is what the first remote should have been. So I bought an Apple TV 4K in 2017, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get this remote. I would rather have this remote, but paying $60. So for the Apple TV, I'm paying $180 plus 60. It comes out to $240 just to watch Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus. It's not a good deal if you ask me. You can get like tons of other competing devices and stick them in every TV and room in your house, and you get a remote for each, and they do almost the same things that this remote and Apple TV does. So although the new remote is super awesome, it just kind of shows how the Apple TV is not really intuitive and offer a lot of features at a good deal. So that's been my video on the new Apple TV 4K Siri remote compared to the old one, and TV in general. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.